Millions of Americans know Phil Keoghan from his award-winning work as the host of the popular reality show The Amazing Race here on CBS. This morning, though, we're speaking with Phil not about his show, but about something far more serious and perhaps closer to his heart, that devastating earthquake that hit his hometown in New Zealand. Phil grew up just south of hard-hit Christchurch. He joins us from there this morning with a very personal look at how people are doing. Phil, this was quite a trip home for you.
Quite a trip. I'm standing outside one of my favorite bars and restaurants, restaurant called the Carlton, which was built back in 1906, and a lot of the buildings around the city look like this. But as for the people, although they're shaken, I can assure you they are definitely not broken. This is where I was born. It's where I went to high school, university, where I got my first job. And I feel it's important to come back home because I want to share the stories of what's happening here and also to let everybody know what they can do to help.
The search is on in New Zealand today for survivors of a powerful earthquake just outside of Christchurch.
One of the things that's most noticeable around the city is all the mud and all the sewage that's come out of the ground from the liquefaction. It's everywhere. And people are trying to get it out of their yards, putting it out in the street, and then the trucks are going to pick it up. Everyone is doing what they can. College student Sam Johnson started a Facebook page to recruit a few mates to clean up the neighborhood. And by week's end, an army of 18,000 young people had registered.
It shows that the sort of sea change in youth leadership that's happening around the world. You see it in other countries, and we've definitely experiencing it here right now.
The energy here is quite extraordinary. The guys here are giving them their assignment. They head out into the community and help.
Anything that we can do to build back our community. We want the university to reopen. We want to live here again because we grew up here.
Many roads are still impassable, so I set off on foot to check out how some of my old haunts had fared. I used to have my violin lessons in that room right there, right in the middle there. This is Knox Church, where I went every Sunday when I was at boarding school. Totally destroyed. I've discovered that it is impossible and dangerous to get into downtown Christchurch, so thankfully my friend Simon Duncan runs a helicopter business, Garden City Helicopters, and he's going to give us a bird's eye view.
So we're coming into Redcliffe's area now, and that whole cliff face is gone. Look down there, Phil, you can see the Time Ball Station, a very, very historic building here in Littleton. It's shaken completely to bits.
Oh boy, it's quite emotional to see it from the air like this.
Phil, how you doing, mate?
Mayor Bob Parker has become the face of this crisis.
More bridges will be hooked up by the end of the day,
boosting morale and drawing comparisons to Rudy Giuliani after 9/11. What has it been like for you on a personal level?
Well, and this whole island has a population of just 1 million people, and half of them live here in our city of Christchurch, and we're all connected in a way, you know.
Yeah.
I stayed there for another half an hour just to, I was trying to get the doors shut and all those.
Two old friends of mine ran one of the city's most popular cafes until it literally came crashing down around them. With their first child due in 3 months, Sam and Fleur may have lost their business and their home, but also discovered something amid the ruins.
Actually, none of this means anything. Lose the house, lose all our possessions. We've got each other. That's the main thing.
And having each other, depending each other, that's going to be absolutely crucial in the days and the months and, of course, the years ahead, because it's going to take a long time to come back from this.
That it is. We saw a few of your friends there in the piece. What about your family, Phil? How are they doing?
Well, the first thing I wanted to do, of course, when I got off the plane was just go to see them. They were hit pretty bad the first time round with the earthquake, but I couldn't wait to go in the front door of my parents' place and give them a big hug. They're doing their part like everybody is in the community. They're looking after people. They're actually sleeping on the floor of the garage right now because they don't want to turn people away. They run a small bed and breakfast, but it was wonderful to see them and to know that they're safe.
And as you mentioned, everybody there is doing their part. A lot of people in this country look at the disaster and say, you know, New Zealand feels so far away, but I want to be able to help. And there are ways we can help, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, Americans are tremendously generous, and of course, you know, there are lots of people who are helping out, like the New Zealand Red Cross. But to be honest with you, the best thing that people can do, Erica, is come to New Zealand. Now, that sounds crazy, but This damage is isolated to a very, very small part of New Zealand, an area, the size of Lower Manhattan. And this tourism is such a huge and crucial, vital part of New Zealand. It's, almost 10% of the GDP, about $15 billion. And we just can't afford a second hit if people stop coming to this country. So if people want to help, don't cancel your trip to New Zealand. If you're thinking about a life-changing trip, come to New Zealand because the rest of the country is open for business.
Phil Keoghan, great to have you with us, and thanks for that look this morning.
Thank you.